A friend of mine was able to have his aircraft stop at 40,000 feet or so and not continue operating as a normal aircraft. What was going on?
What happens when the government starts revealing secrets they've kept hidden for decades, only to leave us with even more questions? From shocking UFO videos released by the Pentagon to NASA suddenly shutting down key missions,
We associated with the mission at the time that Comet Neowise that was discovered, that was a great feeling.
Today happens to be the day that we're placing our spacecraft into hibernation mode. The orbit is getting low, and it's time to be done.
it's got people wondering what's going on. Why are they showing us UFO footage now? And why did one of NASA's most successful missions come to a sudden stop? Is it all just a coincidence? Or is there something bigger behind it? Stick with us as we dig into these mysteries, and we'll also explore NASA's incredible missions, from the Parker Solar Probe's journey to the Sun, to Juno's breathtaking discoveries around Jupiter. Let's dive in. 1. Recent Pentagon UFO reports. Back in 2020, the Pentagon dropped a bombshell that changed how people see UFOs forever. They released 3 incredible videos showing unidentified flying objects doing things that defy all logic. These clips, filmed by US Navy pilots, had everyone talking. One video showed an object spinning against the wind, while the stunned voices of the pilots could be heard in the background.
We're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
They were trying to wrap their heads around what they were seeing because these movements weren't something any known aircraft could pull off. The footage, captured in 2004 and 2015, left both scientists and skeptics scratching their heads. Some astrophysicists thought the strange behavior could be explained by atmospheric effects, or maybe some kind of glitch in the imaging equipment. But others weren't so sure. Could these be glimpses of something way beyond our understanding? Luis Elizondo, a former Pentagon insider, has been vocal about this. He believes people have the right to know the truth, especially with so much uncertainty in the world. Here's the curious part. While the Pentagon confirmed these videos were real, they didn't explain what these objects were. They just labeled them as unidentified. This isn't the first time the US government has tried to ease public fears either. Way back in the 1950s, President Eisenhower reassured people that flying saucers weren't a threat from outer space. But today, UFO sightings seem to be happening more often, and the Pentagon is openly investigating them. It feels like we're finally starting to get a peek behind the curtain, just a little. And here's something to think about. If the government is releasing footage this shocking, what else might they be keeping under wraps? As if that wasn't enough to spark curiosity, there's another twist. NASA recently retired the Neowise mission, which was a huge player in tracking dangerous space objects. Could these events be connected? 2. Shutdown of Neowise mission. On August 8, 2024, NASA announced something that caught everyone's attention. The Neowise spacecraft, one of its most important missions, was being retired. After almost 15 years of groundbreaking discoveries, it had to call it quits. Neowise wasn't just any old satellite. It had found more than 3,000 near-Earth objects, including asteroids and comets that could pose a real threat to our planet. NASA explained the shutdown, saying the spacecraft couldn't keep working because of increasing drag from heightened solar activity. That's a fancy way of saying it was getting harder for Neowise to stay in orbit. But here's the thing. This wasn't just another retired mission. Neowise has been a big part of Earth's planetary defense system, tracking objects that could collide with us. It also discovered Comet Neowise, which gave people an unforgettable light show in 2020. While NASA praised Neowise's contributions, some questions remain. Was this just a technical issue, or could there be something more? The timing raises eyebrows. The mission ends just as more UFO reports and strange findings are coming to light. Could Neowise have seen something too significant to share? The good news is that Neowise paved the way for its successor, the NEO Surveyor, which is set to launch in 2027. But still, it's hard not to wonder, was there more to Neowise's sudden retirement than NASA is letting on? With all these strange events happening at once, it feels like we're only scratching the surface of a much bigger story. If Neowise blew your mind, wait until you hear about a mission that got up close and personal with the sun itself. 3. Parker Solar Probe. If Neowise blew your mind, wait until you hear about a mission that got up close and personal with the sun itself. Meet the Parker Solar Probe, a spacecraft that dared to touch the sun. Launched by NASA in 2018, this groundbreaking mission went where no spacecraft had ever gone before, the sun's outer atmosphere called the corona. It's named after Eugene Parker, the astrophysicist who first predicted the existence of solar wind. Fun fact, Parker was alive to see the launch of the spacecraft named after him, a historic first for NASA. Over its 7-year mission, the Parker Solar Probe will make 24 daring orbits, getting closer and closer to the sun by using Venus's gravity as a kind of slingshot. By the time it's done, it'll fly within just 3.83 million miles of the sun, 7 times closer than the planet Mercury. In April 2021, it made history by becoming the first spacecraft to enter the corona. So, what does it do there? Packed with cutting-edge instruments, it studies the sun's electric and magnetic fields, snaps photos of solar emissions, and collects particles. This helps scientists understand things like solar wind and solar storms, phenomena that can mess with Earth's satellites and even knock out power grids. It's an incredible achievement, especially when you realize this mission began as a what-if proposal way back in 1958, a time when the technology to pull it off didn't even exist. And there's a cool personal touch too. On board the probe is a memory card with over 1 million names submitted by people around the world, along with Eugene Parker's original scientific paper from 1958. But while Parker is busy uncovering the sun's secrets, another mission explored the far reaches of our solar system and even touched down on a moon millions of miles away. 4. Cassini-Huygens. The Parker Solar Probe might be revealing the mysteries of the sun, but when it comes to exploring distant planets, the Cassini-Huygens mission is in a league of its own. This mission, a collaboration between NASA and the European Space Agency, took us on an unforgettable journey to Saturn and its moons. Cassini launched in 1997 and reached Saturn in 2004, carrying the Huygens probe. This wasn't just any mission. It made history by landing on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. That was the first time humanity landed on a moon beyond Earth, and it happened in the outer solar system no less. Titan's surface, with its rivers and lakes of liquid methane and ethane, looked completely alien, but oddly Earth-like in some ways. The data hinted that this distant world might even have the conditions to support some kind of life. But the main Cassini spacecraft was just as impressive. It spent 13 years orbiting Saturn, sending back incredible images of its iconic rings and discovering new moons along the way. The mission wasn't just smooth sailing, though. To get to Saturn, Cassini had to pull off some clever maneuvers. It flew by Venus, Earth, and Jupiter, using each planet's gravity to build up speed and adjust its course. Originally planned to last only 4 years, the mission was extended twice before its dramatic ending in 2017. To protect potentially life-harboring moons like Enceladus from contamination, NASA made the tough call to crash Cassini into Saturn's atmosphere. It burned up like a meteor, going out in a fiery finale that was as breathtaking as it was bittersweet. Cassini's legacy is still shaping future missions, like NASA's upcoming Europa Clipper, which will study Jupiter's icy moon. The treasure trove of data it collected changed how we think about the possibilities for life beyond Earth, cementing its place as one of the most important space missions of all time. Cassini's fiery farewell to Saturn was unforgettable, but New Horizons took humanity on an even greater adventure, right to the edge of our solar system and beyond. 5. New Horizons. This incredible mission gave us our first ever close-up view of Pluto in 2015. What once looked like a faint speck of light in the sky turned out to be a world full of surprises. It had icy plains, towering mountains, and signs of geological activity that no one expected. But New Horizons didn't stop there. In 2019, it reached Arrokoth, a distant object in the Kuiper Belt, setting a new record for the farthest exploration in human history. New Horizons was built to handle the harsh conditions of deep space. Powered by a special generator that uses radioactive decay to create energy, it was designed to keep going in the freezing emptiness far from the sun. This mission started in 2006 with a launch speed of 30,400 miles per hour, the fastest spacecraft launch ever at the time. Along the way, it sent back stunning images of Jupiter and its moons, including Europa, a world scientists believe might hide an ocean beneath its icy crust. What makes New Horizons truly special isn't just how far it traveled, but what it revealed. The data it collected gave scientists clues about how the solar system formed billions of years ago. Pluto and Orakoth are like time capsules, preserving the history of our cosmic neighborhood. New Horizons also showed how important the Kuiper Belt is, a region of icy bodies that was once ignored but now plays a big role in understanding the origins of our solar system. Even though New Horizons is still sending back data, it's the discoveries it's already made that have cemented its place in space exploration history. But while we've reached the solar system's frontier, the search for answers continues. Next, we head to a planet closer to home, Mars, where rovers are uncovering clues that could change everything we know about life. 6. Mars rovers. Mars has always fascinated people, but the real breakthroughs have come from the rovers exploring its surface. These robotic explorers are doing what humans can't yet, digging into the planet's past and searching for signs of life. Mars missions started as simple flybys. Back in 1965, Mariner 4 sent the first close-up pictures of the planet, but everything changed when rovers entered the scene. Unlike earlier missions, these robots could move around and actively study the planet. The first was Sojourner in 1997, a small rover that paved the way for the bigger missions to come. Then came Spirit and Opportunity, which made huge discoveries. They found clear evidence that water once flowed on Mars, proving it wasn't always a cold desert. Curiosity took it even further, detecting organic compounds that could be the building blocks for life. In 2021, the Perseverance rover landed and raised the stakes even higher. It's now looking for signs of ancient microbial life and collecting samples that might one day be brought back to Earth. Meanwhile, China's Zhurong rover made history by becoming the first non-American rover to explore the Martian surface. What's amazing about these rovers is their versatility. They come equipped with cameras, spectrometers, drills, and even weather sensors. They can analyze rocks, search for water, and survive harsh Martian winters. And then there's Ingenuity, the tiny helicopter that proved aerial exploration is possible on Mars. This little machine opened up a whole new way to study the planet. Each rover carries the hopes of humanity, pushing the limits of what's possible. Their discoveries hint that Mars might have once been, or could still be, a place where life existed. These machines aren't just exploring another planet, they're rewriting what we know about our place in the universe. But as incredible as the rover's discoveries are, let's turn our attention to something completely different, an enigmatic spacecraft flying above us, cloaked in secrecy. Meet the X-37B, a cutting-edge machine that's rewriting the rules of what's possible in orbit. 7. X-37B. Wrapped in mystery and surrounded by speculation, the X-37B isn't your typical spacecraft. Imagine a smaller, unmanned version of the Space Shuttle, packed with advanced technology and a lot of secrets. First launched in 2010, it grabbed headlines in 2016 when it spent nearly a year orbiting Earth, carrying out missions that are still classified. Many believe the X-37B's purpose is tied to military operations, spying on other nations or testing new space technologies. Operated by the U.S. Air Force, it's designed to do things no other spacecraft can. It can fly in low Earth orbit, somewhere between 150 and 500 miles above the planet, and stay there for as long as 270 days. One of the X-37B's standout features is its ability to bring experiments back to Earth, something that hasn't been possible since the Space Shuttle retired. Its lightweight build and heat-resistant ceramic tiles let it survive the fiery re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. Add to that its automated systems and cutting-edge avionics, and you've got a spacecraft that doesn't just survive in space, it thrives. While most of its missions are top secret, there's no denying the X-37B is shaping the future of space travel. It's a leap forward in reusability, making space missions more efficient and less expensive. Whether it's testing next-gen technology or gathering intelligence, this spacecraft is setting the stage for the next era of orbital innovation. But while the X-37B quietly circles our planet, another spacecraft ventured deep into the solar system to explore one of its most mysterious worlds. Let's dive into the awe-inspiring journey of the Juno spacecraft. 8. The Juno spacecraft. Juno's mission to Jupiter is nothing short of extraordinary. Launched in 2011, it took 5 years for this remarkable spacecraft to reach the giant planet, finally arriving in 2016. Its goal? To uncover Jupiter's secrets and give us a deeper understanding of our solar system. Unlike most spacecraft that rely on nuclear power, Juno runs on solar energy, making it the farthest solar-powered spacecraft ever sent into space. Its 3 huge solar panels stretch 30 feet long, collecting just enough sunlight to keep it powered, even 493 million miles away from the Sun. Once it reached Jupiter, Juno settled into an elliptical orbit, swooping as close as 2,600 miles above the planet's swirling cloud tops. What Juno has discovered is nothing short of groundbreaking. It revealed that Jupiter's iconic striped bands extend deep below the surface, driven by powerful jet streams. Its instruments have also detected water in the planet's atmosphere, offering important clues about how Jupiter and the rest of the solar system were formed. Originally, Juno's mission was supposed to end in 2018, but its success earned it an extension until 2025. Now, it's not just studying Jupiter, it's also flying by its fascinating moons, including Europa, Io, and Ganymede. Scientists are especially excited about Europa, as its icy surface might hide an ocean capable of supporting life. When Juno's mission eventually ends, it will dive into Jupiter's atmosphere to ensure it doesn't accidentally contaminate any of these moons. Juno isn't just a scientific mission, it's an exploration of the unknown. Its discoveries are helping to rewrite what we know about the solar system, while paving the way for future missions that will push even farther into space. As Juno uncovers the mysteries of Jupiter, let's take a moment to look back at a historic milestone that changed the future of space exploration forever. Picture this: the first ever human-made home in orbit. Step into the story of Salyut 1, the world's first space station. 9. Salyut 1. In 1971, the Soviet Union achieved something extraordinary. They launched Salyut 1, the very first space station. This massive structure, weighing 20 metric tons and stretching nearly 15 meters, was a bold leap into the unknown. Its name, meaning salute in Russian, wasn't just a greeting, it was a symbol of Soviet innovation and ambition. Salyut 1 wasn't built from scratch. Its design was adapted from a military reconnaissance platform called Almaz, reimagined for science and exploration. With one docking port, it became a temporary home for Soviet cosmonauts. In June 1971, 3 astronauts boarded Salyut 1 for its first mission, staying a record-breaking 23 days. Tragically, their return ended in disaster when an air supply failure in their Soyuz spacecraft caused the crew to lose their lives during re-entry. Despite this heartbreaking setback, the Salyut program pushed forward, producing 6 more versions over the years. These stations laid the foundation for future space habitats like the Mir Space Station and the International Space Station, or ISS. Salyut 1 was more than a science lab in orbit. Its modular design inspired decades of engineering breakthroughs, and its experiments provided early insights into what it takes for humans to live in space for extended periods. The Soviets shifted their focus to orbital science after the US won the race to the moon with the Apollo program. Instead of competing on lunar landings, they made history differently by creating Salyut 1. This pivot paid off, ensuring the Soviet Union's place in the story of human space exploration. From taking the first steps in building a home in orbit to searching for other worlds, space exploration has always been about chasing the big dreams. Now, let's uncover the story of the Kepler mission, a telescope that changed how we think about planets and the possibility of life out there. 10. The Kepler mission, HTTPS. Launched in 2009, NASA's Kepler Space Telescope took humanity's search for other worlds to a whole new level. Its mission was bold, to find planets the size of Earth orbiting distant stars, in regions where life could potentially exist. Kepler didn't just search for planets, it changed the way we see our galaxy. The telescope worked in a simple but revolutionary way. It started at 150,000 stars in the Cygnus constellation, looking for tiny dips in their brightness. These dimmings, called transits, happen when planets cross in front of their stars. Kepler's advanced digital camera and a 3-foot-wide telescope made it possible to detect even the faintest changes in light with stunning precision. What it found was astonishing. Within its first 6 weeks, Kepler identified 5 new planets, all bigger than Earth. Over its mission, it discovered thousands more. Even more exciting, many of these planets were in the so-called Goldilocks zone, where conditions might allow liquid water and possibly life. Kepler showed us that planets aren't rare at all. The galaxy is teeming with them, and many might even look a lot like Earth. Kepler didn't just stop at planets, it also taught us more about stars, their makeup, and their activity. The mission was so successful that it kept going long past its original 3.5-year timeline, collecting data until 2018. Its discoveries inspired future missions, including the powerful James Webb Space Telescope, which continues the hunt for alien worlds. Kepler's discoveries showed us just how vast and mysterious our galaxy truly is. But while Kepler explored the stars from the safety of Earth's orbit, there's a story of astronauts who ventured far into the unknown and faced a life-or-death struggle unlike anything space exploration had ever seen. Let's dive into the incredible journey of Apollo 13. 11. Apollo 13. Apollo 13 wasn't just another space mission, it became a symbol of how human resilience and quick thinking can overcome impossible odds. It all started on April 11, 1970, when Apollo 13 launched with astronauts James Lovell, John Swigert, and Fred Hayes on board. Their goal was to land on the moon, but just 55 hours into the mission, everything changed. An explosion tore through the spacecraft, damaging its oxygen and power systems. The root of the problem dates back to 1965 when a faulty thermostat was installed in one of the oxygen tanks. During the mission, when a fan inside the tank was turned on, it caused a spark that led to a catastrophic rupture. This explosion also disabled a second oxygen tank and 2 of the spacecraft's 3 fuel cells. Suddenly, the astronauts were stranded 200,000 miles from Earth with limited resources. Back on Earth, Mission Control in Houston became a frantic hub of activity. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to solve one problem after another. With limited tools and supplies, they managed to create a makeshift carbon dioxide filter using items like cardboard, tape, and plastic bags. Meanwhile, the astronauts endured freezing temperatures, rationed food and water, and extreme fatigue. Navigation was another massive challenge. With their usual star-based systems offline, the crew had to rely on the sun for orientation. Mission Control quickly calculated a new flight path that would use the moon's gravity to slingshot the spacecraft back toward Earth. Normally, these kinds of calculations would take months, but the team had to do it in hours. When Apollo 13 finally re-entered Earth's atmosphere on April 17, 1970, condensation from the freezing conditions caused it to rain inside the cabin. Despite the chaos, the astronauts splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean. The spacecraft, however, was too damaged to be reused, a stark reminder of the dangers of space exploration. Apollo 13 wasn't just a rescue story. It showed the world what human ingenuity could accomplish under pressure. And it also set the stage for one of NASA's biggest advancements, the creation of the Space Shuttle program. The Apollo 13 mission proved humanity's ability to solve impossible challenges under immense pressure. But the lessons learned didn't just save lives, they laid the foundation for a revolutionary idea, a spacecraft that could be used again and again. Enter the Space Shuttle, a game changer in the history of space travel. 12. The Space Shuttle. The Apollo missions taught us how to get to space, but the Space Shuttle took things to the next level. This incredible spacecraft wasn't just about exploration. It was about making space travel more practical and sustainable. As the first reusable spacecraft in history, the shuttle changed the game. It launched like a rocket, orbited like a spaceship, and landed like an airplane. The Space Shuttle was made up of 3 main parts: the orbiter, which housed the crew and cargo, the massive external tank, which provided fuel, and 2 solid rocket boosters, which gave it the extra push needed for liftoff. While the external tank was discarded after every launch, the orbiter and boosters were reusable, a groundbreaking idea at the time. The shuttle program began with Columbia, the first operational orbiter, which flew in 1981. Over the years, other shuttles like Discovery, Atlantis, and Endeavour joined the fleet. Each one was designed to handle dozens of missions, and they took on all kinds of tasks. They launched satellites into orbit, repaired the Hubble Space Telescope, and even helped build the International Space Station. But the program wasn't without its tragedies. In 1986, the Challenger shuttle was lost shortly after takeoff. And in 2003, Columbia broke apart during re-entry. These disasters were devastating, but NASA didn't give up. The program continued, achieving incredible milestones, like deploying the Hubble Space Telescope and completing the ISS. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you're as fascinated by these mysteries as we are, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is going on? Coincidence or something bigger? Which NASA mission has impressed you the most? Is it the Parker Solar Probe, Juno, or something else?